Welcome to Tektronix. This is Frederick from Tektronix, the road tour part 6, and this was a request from one of the customer meetings we had a week ago. So the question was, how complex signals can we do? In this case, the setup is the same. We have a PC which is connected to a switch, is then connected to an oscilloscope, what we do for the RF measurements, and a waveform generator, just to create a very complex waveforms. If you see my earlier videos, I explained a little bit of the setup. In this case, we're going to create and analyze radar-like signals with an off time of 67.5 milliseconds, and it's active 3.5 milliseconds, and inside it's a multi-tune, not only different frequency but also different power levels. And there's an off time and on time. I'm going to show you how you do this, and all of these parameters are adjustable, and you can have more pulses if you like. So the way I generate this is using our tool called RF Express. When I set one pulse as a carrier frequency, and then do add offsets to the rest of them, I add them in what we call a pulse group to create, instead of individual pulses, I make a sum of the different pulses. And we can have a different voltage shape, the start time and the rise time, and pulse width here 3.5. And you can do a lot of settings here. Change it. When we're done, finally, I can show you that we have 67.5 milliseconds between the pulses, and the pulse width is like 3.5 milliseconds. In scope view, to see the RF domain, I did the same thing here. So we have about 4 milliseconds that I captured, and I do a spectrum of the full, and I can see the different markers here. So markers reference at 352. It's resolution bandwidth here, so 705, etc., etc. This is the main thing I want to show you here, and let's start. So first of all, we go into what we call RF Express. I can go here, and I can what can I do? Default setup. So I don't go. So we start here. So we have one pulse, which is the standard one, which should be 352 meg. We put this as did. We add some pulses here, 2, 3, 4 of them. I mark the first one, and here I can change the pulse shape. Raise cosine is a little bit better. We can take, in this case, it's a bit faster to compute. We take 100 microseconds, and the off time is as short as possible. When I've set this one, the settings, the rise time and the pulse width, I can then copy and paste. Yes. And paste. Yes. And paste. And paste. So we've done it. We have this one. Now I need to set the offset. Should be 352 meg. And we can have minus 10 dB power level. Go to the next one. And should be, not minus, should be positive, so 704 meg. And we make it a minus 20. And the third one, we make an offset of 1056 meg, and offset amplitude is minus 30. So this is what I've done. I've done nothing special here. Now it's important that I add this, check all, and OK. And when I've done this, I just press compile, and it will create one single pulse containing these different settings. You can have many more pulses if you like. I press compile and just make sure it works. In this video, I'm only using a pulse width of 100 microseconds because it takes some time for it to compile such huge waveforms as it is when you're using 3.5 milliseconds. So I will probably load that in the end of this video for sure it's possible. So let's go here. Here it is. That's the scope, and we can run the software for looking at the RF. So there's two things I've done here. So first of all, you saw that when I created the waveforms, I had a very little off time. I will tell you how you can work with that. So let me see. We should do a preset here. Preset. I'm about to finish. So we got something here. I set the start frequency at 100 and stop at 2 gig. And here are waveforms, so I can add a marker. To peak, and you can see that's 351, and mark 20, 705, 156. So these are pulses. If I view this as a zero span, you can see it's almost always on. But our pulse that we were meant to do should have an off time, which was really long. So I go into the control software for the AWG, which is this one, and you can see what is actually created is a sequence with I just loaded one waveform and it's repeating forever. I need to add the dead time or off time. So I have created one here. It should be this one. And what I do here is just add this to the sequence. I put this as a 1. And I put this a number I've played out. It should be 208. Then I have to go, instead of first, I go to next. And then the top should go to first. So now I created it. It's a little bit shorter pulse width, but I'm sure we can get the concept here. So this is how it looks in a spectrum. If we put at this, it should be like 150 microseconds. It's a bit long, so it's transferring, and here you can see the pulse width is roughly 100 microseconds. So now I can go here for spectrum, and I can do a spectrum of the full pulse here, and just press replay. So there you go. I close this now to look at the time between the pulses from the scope view. Close this one, and we have the scope running here. I can go to default setup, and now we can play a little bit. So first of all, the sampling rate, I'm not going to use too much sample rate. So we go up and I go down to 600 meg or something, and I just go out. And it's going to take some time. We can see here like 1, 2, it's going to be like 20 milliseconds per division. And then now I'm just raising the sample rate a little bit so we get it. These are the pulses. I do a single shot and I add markers, add cursors V-bar. So here's one pulse, approximately here, and here's the next one. It should actually be one in the middle, sorry for that. I'm going to tweak this horizontal a little bit like this so you see it. So there'll be one here. I take this one and just measure. You can see 67.8. But that's basically how you do it. And if I now wanted to load the real waveforms that we did earlier, it takes some time to compile it. I'm just going down to my control software here again, and I just open waveform. And I should have it here, multitone radar. Yes. And you can see it's a little bit bigger waveform. And what I will do now is, since I have the short one here, I will just take this one, which is a almost 52 meg, drag it here. It will compile this instead and load it, and it will play it out. So this is the simple way you can do and control a very, very complex waveform. And hopefully you can see when I do the single shot here that the pulses are now, if I go from A here to B here, the pulses are about a little bit short. Let me see if I can do it a little bit better like this. 3.5. So I hope you enjoyed this very short video, and if you have any questions, feel free to come back. Thank you.